All right, I want to talk about the All-Star game and who's going to make the All-Star game. We do this every year. We say this player got snubbed, this player got snubbed, right? But this year, there's really going to be a snub in my eyes, and I want to focus on the guards in the West, where we know for sure Luka, Shea, and Steph Curry are going to make it. You can argue whether Steph Curry deserves it over other players, as we'll get to, but he's one of the faces of the league. He's going to make it, and it's in San Francisco. He's going to make it. So maybe there is a debate to be had, but we're not going to have that debate because Steph Curry is going to be in that game. So I'm pretty sure the most guards you can have on an all-star roster is 6, right? 2 starters, 2 bench, and then you have 2 wild cards. But more than likely, it's going to be 5 guards. Now, there can be 6, but I want to operate in this hypothetical where there's only 5 guards. And we have a lot of names to choose from. I already gave you 3, Shea, Luka, Steph Curry. Now we have 2 spots left for 5 or 6 other players. Real quick, you got Anthony Edwards. He seems like he'd be a lock, right? The stats look like it, but if you watch him on a night-to-night basis, it's like, he's probably gonna make it, right? But Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, James Harden, Ja Morant, and Kyrie Irving. That is 6 guys for really 2 spots. And again, I'm not saying Steph Curry doesn't deserve it over these guys, but some of these guys have just as good of an argument, if not better, than Steph Curry. But we're not even having that debate. Now, we can all be real and look at it and say, De'Aaron Fox is probably going to be the guy that gets left off on name recognition alone. Even though it's coaches voting for the bench, right? I think that's still how they do it. If it comes down to Anthony Edwards or De'Aaron Fox, I think coaches are going to go Anthony Edwards. If they come down to Devin Booker or De'Aaron Fox, I kind of think they'd still go Devin Booker. But I want to focus on the guys that are really winning right now because I kind of think they might get left out as well. Kyrie Irving and Ja Morant. Now, I think who's more likely? Kyrie Irving, even though Ja Morant is a big fan favorite. I don't know if he's like a favorite amongst the coaching staffs. But Kyrie Irving didn't make it last year, and I don't remember if that's because of games played. He only played in 58 games last year, but I can't remember if those were missed or a large portion of those were missed before the All-Star game. I'm not sure. But he only played in 58 games and he put up 25 points per game. So if you look at the raw numbers, it looks like he had a pretty big drop off, only putting up 23 this year, but he's putting up 23 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 45% from 3 on what, the 2nd seed or 3rd seed in the conference. And you're telling me that guy is not going to make the All-Star team? No, I know I could sit here and break down the stats of all of these guys and they probably all are deserving for sure. So let me get out the way the one guy I for sure would not be voting as an all-star, and that is Devin Booker. Even though if you look at the numbers, 25.6 assists, the efficiency's down, but it's not terrible. Just watching the games and the fact that they are, 2-9 now without Kevin Durant, and no Devin Booker-led team should be going 2-9, which is kind of why Steph Curry is questionable. They just had a 2-9 stretch and Steph Curry played almost all of those games, so just throwing it out there. But Devin Booker is the one guy. I'm not voting for Devin Booker to be an all-star, but even if you wanted to, it's not a crazy pick, but that's the one guy I could look at and say, I don't know if he's an all-star this year. But back to the winning teams, Ja Morant is having a down year statistically, only 21 points per game, 8 assists, right? The 3-point shot is down, but he's the driving engine on a team that is 20-9 and they won't have an all-star, or maybe they will and it won't be Ja Morant, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But Ja Morant's numbers kind of makes it hard to look at James Harden's numbers and say James Harden should be an all-star if Ja Morant isn't an all-star, right? A lot of transitive property going on. But you look at the year James Harden is having with the roster he has, shout out to Norman Powell, who might be an all-star consideration as well. But what James Harden is doing is kind of all-star worthy. Then you look and see he's shooting 39% from the field. But in this situation, I wouldn't harp on that too much. Like, if you think James Harden is an all-star, I'm not going to argue with you too much. I think he is deserving of it. Before the year started, I made a bold predictions video, and one of my bold predictions was James Harden will be an all-star this year. Because I did think he'd put up these type of numbers, I just thought he'd be shooting 42% or 43% and not 39 from the field. So that probably will be why he does not make it overall. But I think James Harden is very deserving of an all-star nod this year. Now, Anthony Edwards, you look at his counting stats, you look at even his efficiency, right? And this is how efficiency can be kind of misleading at times, right? Because you watch the games and Anthony Edwards, he gets his numbers, but it never looks like he's having this crazy control or whatever, right? I'm holding him to a different standard when I say that. Do I think he's having an all-star year? Of course, of course. But is he having the type of year to say that he deserves it over Ja Morant, who's having a less explosive, less efficient year, but is winning games? You know, there's no right or wrong answer, but I just don't believe Anthony Edwards is playing as good as his numbers look right now. And I feel like if you ask any Wolves fan, they will tell you the same thing. Not saying he's not an all-star, not saying he doesn't deserve it. And I think we can go ahead and lock in Ant just off of popularity and his play for sure, but off of popularity and growing the sport and name recognition. I think we can lock in Ant as well. So that is 4 locks for 5 spots in my opinion. Again, Shea, Luka, Steph Curry, now Ant. And that leaves us Devin Booker, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Ja Morant, and De'Aaron Fox, who I keep forgetting, which tells you he's probably not going to make it. But of all those guys, the one that I think is going to make it is Kyrie Irving. People probably feel like he missed a couple he should have made in recent years. Kyrie Irving is kind of like a redemption story. I think coaches are fine with voting in Kyrie Irving, so I think Kyrie's going to make it. And I think we're going to have a world where Devin Booker and Ja Morant are not all-stars, and it's not going to be because of injury. That's kind of crazy. And then real quick on the forwards, we already went through the locks, right? LeBron, everything I just said about Steph, LeBron's going to make it, and he deserves to make it. Same way Steph deserves to make it, right? I'm just saying there's other people are going to be upset about that. But we got 5 pure locks in the Western Conference. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Jokic, Wemby, AD, locked in. And if OKC just stays where they are, I think J-Dub is also a lock. And that leaves, off the top of my head, 3 guys. Domantas Sabonis, Jaren Jackson Jr., Alperen Şengün. Again, if winning means anything, then Sabonis probably won't make it because he didn't make it when they were a better team before, so he's probably not going to make it. That leaves Şengün versus Jaren Jackson Jr. Statistically, you're going to look at Şengün and say, of course. Actually, I thought Şengün was putting up more than 18 points per game, but still dominating him in the boards, the assist, right? Obviously, Jaren's going to have the blocks, but that's a very good debate, which one you would put in the All-Star game. There's no wrong answer, but I'd probably go Jaren Jackson Jr. because he's amazing on defense, right? And he's scoring more, and his efficiency has been kind of crazy. Not to be a hater, but it's probably a little bit fluky how well he's shooting the mid-ranger this year. If that continues, then he's a different type of weapon in the NBA, but 21 points, 5 boards, does not seem like an all-star power forward, but I think he's been that good. If you want to give it to Şengün, obviously, I'm not going to argue with you too much. But let me know in the comments down below, would you take Şengün or Jaren Jackson Jr. for your last front court spot? Or maybe you take someone else? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know, again, assuming you can only have 5 guards, what would your 5 guards in the Western Conference be? I know Steph Curry is a lock, but would Steph Curry make your all-star team right now? Like, assuming nothing else was involved, just on play this year, would Steph Curry be an all-star in your mind? Let me know all that down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please drop a like, please comment, please subscribe. I'm out. Peace.